The game in this video was lent to us to make content about by Kastle in Kent, Washington. If you're in the area, check them out. It's a great store run by great people. I'll have their information in the show description. Hi everybody, welcome to All Games New and Old. I'm David Rodriguez, and today we're going to be reviewing Three Sisters. This game was published in 2022 by Motor City Gameworks and is designed by Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle. Now this is a roller right game, and the theme is based off the Three Sisters concept, which was a Native American technique for growing things, which usually involved corn, beanstalk, which would go up around the corn, and pumpkins, which would create ground cover and keep away pests and whatnot. And that's about all I know about agriculture. Luckily, I managed to secure us an agriculture expert. Not sure who it is, but let's find out.
Hello, I'm Annie the Artichoke.
Didn't I ban you from the channel for using foul language?
You did, but that's okay. I forgive you. Last time I was on here, I talked about a game where I got abandoned. But this time, I'm talking about a game where I was forgotten.
What do you mean, Annie?
This game is about three sisters, corn, beans, and squash. But there's a fourth sister.
Let me guess.
That's right, it's me. I always get left out by those three.
Oh, I'm sorry, Annie.
I hate those bitches.
Damn it, Annie. Alright, let's just go to our gameplay overview. You know, I'm just sorry. I told the YouTube guest agency that we couldn't have her because last time she tried to drop an F-bomb on us. And yeah, I mean, I edited it out, but it'd be nice to not have to do the extra work. But whatever. Anyway, I'm sure she'll be back next time we talk about farms or growing things or anything plant related. Maybe I don't know. They just send me people. I don't know what it's about. Anyway, this is a roll and write game, so everyone has basically, in this case, a couple pads of paper representing your farm. There's also an action rondelle that everyone will see, and you've got Farmer Edith starting on a certain part on that board. So the game plays in 8 rounds, so every round the first player marker is going to rotate. And at the beginning of the round, the first player is going to roll the number of dice depending on the number of players you have, and group them in ascending order. So the smallest one is going to go right where Farmer Edith is, and then the next biggest one will go in the next space, and so on and so on. Once you've got them all placed, you're going to move Farmer Edith after all the dice you place on the rondelle. That way you know next round or next turn where she starts, basically. Yeah. So then the first player is going to pick a dice from the rondelle. And when you pick it, let's say you pick one that has the number 4 on it. So you're going to take that, and that means that you can do the dice action, which you will be either planting or watering your number 4 garden, because there's 6 gardens, one for each, pip on the dice. And so when you choose to plant, you are going to fill out 2 spaces starting from the bottom of either your pumpkins, your corn, or your beans. You can't start the beans until the corn that's right next to it has gotten up to the same level as where the beans start. But that's not super complicated to get to. Then, once you've done that, you can do the rondelle action. So wherever you took the die from, it's going to have a certain action that you can do. So it could be a plant and water again. So you might be able to plant and water in that same spot again and really get that part of the garden growing. It could be shed time, which you're going to fill out one of the many actions over in the shed from the leftmost open space and moving inwards. And those actions, just to give a very kind of vague overview, basically will help give you bonuses. It could be bonus actions, extra things you can do. It could give you goods depending on what you've grown. There's all kinds of different things you can do, but it can help you go towards a goal, I guess.
Yeah, it basically helps you focus on what area of the overall farm you want to focus on. Mm-hmm. So another action you can do is get 1 compost and 4 goods. The compost is useful because for every compost you spend, you can roll your dice up or down a number. So there might be, like you might want a certain action on the rondelle, but you don't like the number that's associated with it. You don't want to do anything in that garden. So you can use some compost to move around to a garden that you actually want to do something in. The goods are used in the farmer's market, and I'll explain that a little later.
Yep. So another action you might have is the apiary or fruit. So you can choose to fill in the either the leftmost space of one of the fruits that you have, and those can do all kinds of things. Some of them give you extra actions, some of them give you goods right away, some are just especially good at having victory points at the end, and they can also tie in with a few of the different things in the shed. So that's one of the ways you might be, focusing your strategy based on that. There's also the apiary, which is basically you're going to fill out the bottommost part of it, but it's like a single track, but then splits into two, and it becomes a honey and a split hive, I believe. And so depending on where you go on that can give you victory points and other bonuses as well.
Yeah. And then the last action is the farmer's market. And with the farmer's market, based off of how many goods you are currently at, you get different actions. And so normally it will be, you can mark on one of your flower tracks, and then you might either get compost or be able to mark a fruit or some combination of those. And the more goods you get, the better rewards you get off of the farmer's market as well.
Yep. And then once everyone has taken a turn, everyone's going to look at the smallest number die that's still on the rondelle, and everyone's going to take both the die action from that and the rondelle action that's underneath it. So everyone's sharing that one particular action. Once that's done, depending on what round you're on, there's going to be an action at the end that everyone will take as well. So it could be a shed action, it could be rain, in which case all of your plants in your garden can grow up one space. It could be, or it could be a farmer's market action, and I think that's it. I think after that they kind of repeat again. But so that's kind of nice because you kind of know certain things are coming, which is a part of your strategy as well.
At the end of the 8 rounds, you're going to do your final scoring. And the scoring is split up into different areas of the farm. So in your garden section, you're going to get points for finishing off corn or beans. The pumpkins don't give you victory points, but they help you out in the different other areas of your farm. So in the perennials, if you finish a flower track, you get points for that. And then in the apiary, depending on what track you go and how far up you go, you can get points for that. Same with the fruit. And in the shed, if you are able to complete a task in the shed and some of those tasks will also be based off of how many fruit you have. You'll get different victory points for that. And then you'll total up all your scores, and then the person with the highest score wins. So for the art and components of this game, there's not a lot to this game when it comes to that stuff. But it's definitely more than your typical roll and write that I've seen. The 2 marker mats that you have are, they're simple, but they're really pretty. There's a lot of colors to them. Everything that it represents is drawn there. So, the fruit, you have your apple trees, you have your different trees based off of what fruit you're growing. The aviary has beehives. There's everything that is represented well on the maps. The rondelle is pretty simple. It basically looks like a message board that different notes have been pinned onto. And then there's a picture of Farmer Edith on there as well. So it's all pretty simple, but it's pretty, and it makes sense with the game.
Yeah, agreed. I really can't complain much about that. I think the pads you have are really, really pretty. I mean, a lot of roll rights I've played, it's, you get a black and white mat, and there may or may not even really be much in the way of art on there, but this is a really full color deluxe looking thing, I think. It looks like a lot when you first look at it. We'll talk about what I think about if it really is or not, but once you kind of see what everything is, it becomes a lot more clear, which is great. I do have a minor complaint about the rondelle. They try to make it look like a pin board or something where you put notes up, which is a cool idea. When you first look at it, though, it looks kind of chaotic, to be honest with you. It's not like you look at that and be like, oh, that's a rondelle or circular track. Once you played a game or two, probably even just one, it's a lot more clear. But when I was first looking at it, I was like, wait, okay, are these things over here spaces, or is that a separate thing? Super nitpick on that. But I can't. It's a good quality board though. It's a really thick cardboard. I like the orange dice they make me think of pumpkins. They're just cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a pumpkin on them, but just the color, I don't know.
Yeah.
I dig them. I think they're perfect for this.
Yeah, the dice and the meeples are good quality. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there's like the wooden pumpkin first player marker meeple, and there's the Farmer Edith, and then there's just a little like blue marker for the round you're on. But all those seem to be great quality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for the theme, I think it's important to say that I don't know anything about gardening or farming or flowers or fruit or sheds or anything that this game has anything to do for other than, the most vague general things. I don't know much. I hadn't heard of the Three Sisters method of planting until this game came out, and then I found out about it and I thought, oh, that's kind of that's a cool thing. I don't know how people first discovered that, but it's amazing. Anyway, that being said, this does feel to me like I'm doing what I think farming is, but not as dirty. You have this big farm here, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. You can't get it all done. You got to focus a certain way. Like, okay, well, I think I want my garden to have like, these kind of plants, and I want to have fruit so I can take it to the farmer's market, all that sort of stuff. And I like that it makes me feel like I'm customizing my garden each time I play. I mean, at least it really brought me in. I don't know. Did you feel like it was bringing you in, or is that just...
Yeah, no, I definitely has, like, makes me feel like I'm having to really map out what I want to do with my farm, and make tough decisions as well. I think they did a good job of incorporating all the different options you have to make sense. Like if you're working on the aviary, the bees will eventually help you out with your fruit and your flowers. The flowers will kind of help with your compost and goods. The goods will help you out with the farmer's market. The more goods you have, the more you have to sell at the farmer's market, so the better rewards you get. The shed, all the different options you have in a shed can help, are a lot of times directly related to other things that you do in the game. So I think they did a really good job of incorporating everything kind of blended together.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I really like how they incorporated the theme in this one with, roll and write games, at least for a long time, were not known for being very thematic, and I think this one brings it home really well.
Little caveat, we've only played a few roll and write games, or at least I have. I think I've played, this is maybe my fourth or fifth one that I've played. So I don't have a lot of background with the roll and writes, but I had a lot of fun with this one. One of the things that, as far as I know, it does a little differently than at least the roll and writes we've played in the past, is instead of each player having their own pool of dice and rolling and maybe passing around the dice, but for the most part you have your pool of dice and each and the other players all have their own pool of dice. This one, there's only one pool of dice, and then after it's rolled, then you kind of pick and choose what you take turns picking your options. And so I think that's kind of a neat variant of the roll and write.
Yeah, I think so too. Early roll and writes I played, I think there was just a couple I tried out. What they felt like to me was, if you get those big books in the magazine section of the supermarket, if that even still exists, and they're like $1, and it's like Sudoku and other puzzles, and this would be one of the other puzzles in the bag. All you need is a pair of dice, and you can play this game. That's what so many of them felt like to me. And for a long time, it was just these are not very thematic games, so I was not very drawn to them. I tried some. We played a couple really popular ones. We played Welcome To, and I felt like that one kind of hit so-so, maybe. I don't know. We have to play it again, I guess.
Yeah.
Cartographers. I really like Cartographers a lot. And that kind of showed me that, okay, roll and writes can actually be kind of up my alley. And then this one is a little bit more complicated. It's not like a heavy game, but very thematic, which I love. And so it does all these things that I didn't previously think roll and writes could do. And it kind of helped me see that, okay, people are figuring out how to make these games a little more up my alley than they had been before, I think, which I really like, obviously, because why would I want them to put games I wouldn't? Anyway, I'm rambling, but yeah, it really helps kind of show me like, okay, there could be some games out there in this mechanic or whatever that would work for me.
Yeah.
Where I didn't think so before. What do you think as far as the replayability of this game? I mean, there's just board isn't the correct word, but there's there's not like different sheets like in cartographers. It's always going to be the same layout of the farm, everything like that. Like, what do you think about repeated plays of this?
Yeah, I think this is a game that definitely has replayability, especially since there's so much stuff that you can do, and you're not going to be able to do everything. So finding kind of a strategy that works for you is going to take you some time to figure that out. I do have a little bit of concerns with the replayability for two reasons. One is I can see this being, because it's kind of a quicker game, I can see this being a game that people have a lot of fun with, and so they play it a lot, and they play it too often back to back, or too often just so many gameplays close together that they kind of get burned out on the game. If you play with someone that's kind of a metagamer, I can see this being a game that, like, once they figure out their strategy, they're gonna stick to that, and they're gonna have a way of just being able to score super high each time. And so that can take away the fun of it a little bit. And then, especially if you're trying to introduce it to new players, if you've already played it a few times, you have a little bit of an edge over someone that's new to it. But I do think it has replayability because it, part of it is rolling dice and kind of, like, you might be able to do this one time, but you can't do it next time. But the compost does kind of help negate it a little bit too. So, I think it definitely does have replayability, but I think it might have its limit on how much that replayability is.
Yeah, it could well be. I think some people are going to work towards unlocking the most effective method of doing everything. And that's something that encourages me too, but I know myself well enough to know, like last time we played, I was like, okay, I want to try to get my pumpkins grown, and I want to get my, flowers because of that, and fruit. And I wasn't even that worried about the garden in the middle, other than, you're always going to be doing something. So I did do that, but it wasn't like my primary focus. And, I don't know, in the grand scheme of how people score, I didn't win, which shouldn't shock anybody. But there's probably a way to do it better. And I know I could go back and try to do this better and better, but I also know myself well enough to know that next time I go, I'm going to be like, I'm going to try to focus on this other thing now. And by the time I come back around to doing what I was doing this time, I'm not going to remember the pitfalls. So, and there are so many things you can do, and so many ways you can go, and different things you can focus, and shed actions you can try. I mean, there's a ton of different ways to go that I think it would take me a really long time to get to the point where I did feel kind of like there wasn't anything more for me to discover. And I think if I did get to that point, it would probably take enough plays that, honestly, I probably wouldn't feel too bad at that point. Even though I was like, okay, I think I'm done with this game, I have a feeling that I will have gotten enough plays with it at that point that I'm like, you know what, though, this is worthwhile to do. One thing that I was thinking about that I didn't do it all, but, you are basically drafting your die off the rondel for your actions. Mm-hmm. Did you ever try, or do you think that there will be people who would try to, like, hate draft, where, like, oh man, this person's really getting their number 4 garden apple, I'm going to take that 4 die so they can't do that? Like, I don't know. I'm
sure there's some players out there that will do that. I think the game is set up because there's so many different directions that you can go in, that if you are playing with someone like that, it's not going to end up working out well for them, because they're going to be focusing on spreading out their attention rather than focusing on what they should be focusing on. And especially as far as pulling number dice, I think if you do have someone doing that, it's going to be more based off of the rondel action, because you have the compost. So you can, if you're trying to steal the number 4, so I couldn't do my number 4 garden, I could do the number 5 and use the compost and just go to my number 4 garden anyways. So
that's true. Yeah, I think it's a game that doesn't really truly lend itself to that kind of interaction, like, yeah, I think, like I suppose you could.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's the wise thing to do. So, yeah, not a heavy conflict or heavy interaction game by any stretch, which, you know, you'll either like or not. But that is there. I was very focused. I was like, I'm just going to worry about my garden. I'm not going to peek over the neighbor's fence and see what they're doing and try to do it better, because I'm a nice neighbor. But yeah, you know, there is that.
So for all of the roll and write games that we've played so far, this has been my favorite one. I like that there's so many different ways that you can go. It's not like something where it's like, oh, I just have to focus, I feel like there's a lot of different strategies that I can try and go on. And so each time I play it, it's going to feel a little bit different. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, like, even if you have a strategy going into it, depending on what options you have when it's your time to pick, it's going to change the game a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so I really enjoyed it. And there's one area of the game that was really bothering me. And after I mentioned that it was really bothering me, we kind of looked through the rule book again, and we found out that there was a rule in the goods that we weren't applying. Mm-hmm. And so that actually changed my opinion about the game a little bit more. So for me, I'm going to give it an 8. I actually really enjoy the game. I am enjoying playing it. I do have a little bit of concerns about burnout with this game, but I think it's a game that's really easy to just put on the shelf and let it go for a few months and then come back and play it and have fun again.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know if this is, I mean, well, our life just doesn't lend itself to this, where we'd be playing this like, oh, we're going to play this game like 40 times, and that's probably all we're going to play for a while, and we're going to move on. Like, that's just not typically how we are. Like, I have a feeling we're going to, do these reviews, maybe play a time or two more, and then it's going to be on the shelf for, well, sort of on the shelf. We'll get to that in a minute. And then we'll go back to it. So, yeah, I was saying that because this game, I think I said at the top of the video, but this got lent to us by a local game store, Kastle, that opened up. And when they were opening, they got in contact with me, or I got in contact with them, and they said, hey, if there's any games that you want to do content on, you can borrow those, and then once you're done, you can give them to us, and we'll just put them on our demo shelf, because they have to have a demo shelf. And this is one that I requested. And I requested it because I heard a lot of good things, but it wasn't a game I was really likely to buy for myself. The theme is not one that specifically draws me in, and roll and writes have been sort of hit or miss for me. The previous roll and write that I really liked a lot was Cartographers, which is a fantasy setting, which is a setting I really like. So, it's got like the theme I generally prefer. That being said, I think I like this one even better. Like, I just like the puzzle of trying to make a goal and trying to figure out how you're going to get there, and trying to get all the cool combos, because like you'll do an action and that'll let you get something that lets you do something else. You can have crazy combos in this game. And, I think as you learn to play it well, you might try to recreate those combos a lot, which is where, it could be kind of a thing where you figure out your master plan that you're always going to follow. I'm going to try not to do that, but we'll see what happens. But those combos feel great when you hit them. You're like, oh my gosh, I just did all these things in this one little turn. And I really like that in games, when you feel like you have these, like, crazy massive turns. It's just fun, and it's memorable. So this game has a lot of moments like that. So I feel like I'm rambling a little bit here, but I guess all this is to say that I really enjoyed this game, and it actually has kind of convinced me, like, okay, there's some really great roll and writes. I just need to find the ones that are thematic and, like, mid-weight and up, maybe. Because I think the really light ones are going to still feel like just weird little cheesy puzzles to me. No offense to people who like them, it just doesn't resonate with me very well. But this is great. So I'm going to give it a 9. And I would almost want to give it a 10, because I don't have a lot of negatives. It's just that it doesn't necessarily feel like the all-time classic that I'll never let it go, and I would happily play this, every day for the rest of my life, like the 10s usually are. But that being said, it's really, really good. I like it. This is a game that I would definitely like to have in my collection, that I could come back to easily and love it every time, and realize I don't remember how to be whatever I used to call good at this game. I was probably not good at this, but good for me, good for my skill level I'm terrible. Anyway, I just like it. I like trying to figure it out every time. It's just fun. And, sometimes I don't go in with a specific strategy, but I kind of start doing things. I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing this now. And that's how I go. I just like it. So, yeah, a 9 for me. I highly recommend this one if you like roll and writes that are just a little bit heavier, but not like once you get going on it, it's really not. It's not really hard at all. It's compared to how it looks. You know, it looks like so busy and there's a ton going on, and there is, but it's real smooth to pick it up, I think. So those are our scores: an 8 and a 9. Really fantastic. So try it out. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like and subscribe and click the little bell icon so you can know about the next time I put out a video. Also wanted to mention that we now have a merch shop. So I'll have the link to that in the show description, but you can get shirts with our logo, you can get the AGNL logo. We have things that are not shirts too, you know, like cups and pint glasses and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So if you could go there and get some of that stuff, that'd be great because it helps the show because games are expensive. In the meantime, I look forward to see you all around the table again at All Games New and Old.
Bye.
Bye. I hate this table. Like a bird tweeting. Constantly. They're, nope. So at the beginning, wow, hello. If this looks silly enough to put it in bloopers, I'm not trying to rub my elbow in our face. We both got our booster shot today, and our arms hurt like hell. So, if you enjoyed that video, you might also like this one.
Or this one.
If you like any of our videos, what you should do is click this little button to subscribe so you'll know about the next time we put out a video.
We'll see you around the table.
Bye.
Bye.